All right. So simplest thing, new CCS project. Okay. Now, a couple of things here. So, all right. So this guy comes up with a bunch of different stuff here. So the critical things that you need to worry about really is this guy here where it says target. All right, the microcontroller that you have is this 28335. So in my case, it's already defaulted to that because I've used it before. It probably doesn't default to that when you guys open it up. All right, this is why I'm trying to record this. So you'll need to change it to the 28335. All right, so you go through this list and you'll see there's a whole bunch of them on there. I set it to that. And then the key thing is this connection here. All right, this is the right version, XDS100V2. What that means is this guy's ready to connect via USB. All right, if you guys have done microcontroller stuff before, you may know there's other ways of doing it, like what's called a Jtag interface. All right, so there's a couple of options. You guys are going to do that. One thing to note, when you guys use this, you'll need to click the power switch. And you'll see the green light that turns on once you do that. All right, so you need to make sure that that's on once you're ready to use it. You don't need it at this point in the process, right? But you'll need it eventually. All I got to do is give this guy a name. So I'm going to call this example project setup. Okay. All right. Now you'll see this is the project I was working on, PWM generator. One thing to be careful of, right? So I'll make this out to you now. You see there's a bunch of stuff open up here. There's a main.c that just opened up. There is a main.c that was already open. They're two different projects. You can get yourself awfully confused pretty fast. My recommendation to you is to close everything you were working on. All right. All right. Now, typically when you boot into it, you're in this view where you've got the Project Explorer on this side and you've got your code on this side. All right. That's generally speaking probably the most common way to use it. And that's pretty handy. All right. If I want to create a project, if I look in here, I see I've got a bunch of stuff that's already there. Okay. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of, for now, that main.c file that's there. And I am going to create for myself new directories in here. So notice, so what I talked about in the assignment, right? I got this include and source directory that I created. All right, so these are the files that I talked about. So if you guys look in that file, or that there's a set of files that I shared with you guys from in Google Drive that's shared off the Canvas page. So if you go, first of all, you go to the Canvas page, you're going to see that Lab 2 is there. All right, that I've shared with you guys a document on how to install Code Composer Studio and Control Suite with links to get to those things. And then also there should be all the sheets that you need on the microcontroller itself. Okay, if you look, there's also a set of code, and that code basically includes all of these files, all of these .h files, and all of these source files. All right, what you guys need to do is basically copy and paste those in. Right, I wanted you to see how to build this from scratch. Right, so if I go here to this example project setup that I created, I'm going to right click on that. I'm going to say new folder. All right, and I'm going to call this guy include. All right, and so I have that file. That's where I'm going to place all of these .h files. Then I do this new folder source. Okay, that's where you're going to put all your source files. All right, so in that Google Drive that I shared with you, if you go in there, you can copy and paste those code files in. All right, so if you need to create a new file, once you're ready to do that, you go to new, and then I can say new file. Right. actually, the simplest thing to do is I can say new. You'll see there's a couple of things. New source file, new header file. You can do a couple of different things. So let's say I'm wanting to create a new source file. So I'm going to call this guy main.c and finish. All right, and then I've created a file main.c, right? And so it creates a little template for me, and then you guys would copy and paste the code into here. All right, so it's pretty straightforward as to how to do that. All right, now a couple of things that are really important to this. All right, the things that it's going to take for you guys to get this set up. I've got this guy just as I create it. Whenever I create it, it's not ready to quite go just yet. So that control suite, what that has, I said the other day, it's got a lot of code with it that you need to be able to do anything more advanced. So what it's got is it's got defined in it already a bunch of .h files and a bunch of code that's useful that you would otherwise have to create on your own, right? Like math functions and stuff like that. So what we have to do is I have to bring in that stuff. So in my example that I've got below here, this is actually my code, my project, PWM generator down here. I need to bring in these things here, DSP2833X and DSP2833X headers. I got to bring those in. So what I do is I go to here, right-click that guy. I'm going to do new folder. All right, and I'm going to create these folders and try to bring in those important things. So DSP283333X common. All right, and then I'm going to bring in inside here. I'm going to create a folder inside that common folder and say include inside that. Then what I'm going to do is this thing here, say advanced. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link this to a particular location. So what I'm doing is I'm linking this to stuff in the control suite. All right. So the control suite has header files that I want to include, right? That I need to basically include here. So I'm going to say browse. All right. Now I go to somewhere on my computer. So it depends on where you guys installed everything, but chances are you put it in the TI. If you follow the instructions there, I just install mine on the C drive in the TI folder, right? So I go to TI, Control Suite. This guy goes way down there. Control Suite, Device Support, and then this is our microcontroller here, the F2833X. Version 142. I go to common and include. All right. So boom. All right. So now I've done that. Now one thing that's tricky sometimes on your computers, you can't see the OK button down here at the bottom. All right. This is the Windows thing. Pull that up, and I click Finish. Okay. So now what I see is that guy's included. All right. If I have properly linked it, so let me just real quick, I'll show you. So I'll do a new folder. If I do a new folder, now I want to do one called source, like this. If I just create that folder and I don't have this little icon right here, I haven't linked it properly. Okay. So you have to make sure that you link it properly. I'm going to create that guy again and try to link it properly. So let's see it do this. New folder. All right, so I'm going to create the source, and I got to get it from the same place like I did before. So I go to this advanced, link it. All right, so I go to same thing. Go to where my control suite's at. It's really annoying, like I said, because it's somewhere. It's many directories down. All right, control suite. Device support, 2833X, latest version, common, right, and source. Okay. All right, so now that guy's linked in. All right, now, so you need to create this directory. The other thing you actually need to create is this headers one right here. All right, so now I got to do that one. So I create, up in the main project itself, I got to create a new folder. So like I said, this is a tedious process. Right? DSP 2833X headers. All right. Inside there, now I need to create folders again and link them. All right, so same thing. I'm going to create a, in this case, I'm going to need to create a command, include, and a source. I'm going to say command cmd. Oops. I didn't link it. All right, so I go to new folder cmd. Didn't link it. All right. New folder cmd. So I go to advanced to link it. Same process. Link down into the control suite again. So TI control suite, device support, the 2833X, latest version. In this case, the DSP8, the 33X headers. And I want this command for this guy. All right, and save that. Okay. Now I got to do include and source. Okay. New folder, include, advanced, all right, same basic place, control suite, device support, 2833X, 142, headers, and include. All right. Now, source is the last one. So new folder, source, oops. Yes. Folder. All right, so I see this guy. So I call this source, advanced, link it like I did before. All right. I think this is the last big link I need to do. I know this is pretty boring, but you have to do all of it to make it work. Good thing is once you kind of done it, you can copy projects, right? So you can kind of start from once you've done it once. All right, 142 headers, source. Okay. All right, and then finish. All right, so I have to, okay, I've got all of, so I've got all the code brought in that I need to bring in. I'm pretty sure that's it. Yeah, that should be pretty much all I need to bring in. There's a couple other things I need to do though. All right, I've brought all this stuff in there. What I need to do though is I need to give this guy some instructions as to where to find these. So if you know, so you guys took C++, so you learned about compilers, right? So you learn a little bit about compilers at least, right? One of the things that's going on is when you're compiling this thing, you're only writing part of the code. You're writing like your main.c and pwm and init.c. You're writing some really basic stuff, but you have to include a bunch of C files from this control suite. So what I'm doing by that whole tedious process that I just went through was I included a bunch of other .c files and .h files that need to get linked to your file. So when you compile code, you typically run a compiler that takes the .c files and .h files and creates the target code, right, the object code that goes into this thing. But you also have a linker, and what the linker does is it links the code you wrote with some basic code that is coming from another source. So what I got to do is I got to tell that linker some things. I need to tell it what other files to include here. So it's got my own stuff, but I need to also tell it to use the things that I just brought in. All right. So let me see here. I want to do. So I go down, so I right click on the project name. Okay, I'm going to go down to properties. Okay, and I go to include options like this. All right, so my compiler, and I say include options, and I click add, and so it says directory path. So what I can do is I can write in here this guy, apply and close. Okay, so one thing that I see that it's included, all right, is it's included, well, it doesn't look like it's done it properly. Hang on. Properties. Let me see. Yeah, do this. So instead of, okay, so add directory path. So let me back up for a second. I made a goof there. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to add in all those files that I just brought in. So what I do, I'll go more slowly here. All right, so I go to here, right? I go to the project name, right click it, go to properties. All right, I want to delete this guy here real quick. So I'm going to delete this one, which I goofed. Okay, now I go to add. I go to add, I go to workspace, and I just go to the things that I want to include. So for instance, I want to include this guy. Right? That's where I'm going to put my code. All right, so that goes in there. I'm also going to add in those, so this, so the DSP common that I brought in. And I'm going to bring in that other one that I brought, which is this guy. Okay. Apply and close. Okay, so now what I see is I've got these guys included in my list of includes, right? Just because I brought them into the project doesn't necessarily mean that they're actually going to be used by the compiler, right? So that's what I've just done. Now, at this point, there is one other bit of setup that I need to do. All right. I think, let me see here real quick. I think it may be good. All right. All right. So now at that point, I should have everything linked in that I need. So at that point, you guys are basically ready to start bringing in the files. So the .c files and the include files. So again, it probably takes you about 20 minutes to go through that setup process, right? But like I said, you only kind of need to do it once, right? Once you've gone through that, it's not so bad. So if I look at this, all right, your code goes in the include and the source, all right? Once you get all that stuff in there, like so what I've got down here, there are 4 .h files. I gave you all 4 of those .h files. And then I gave you 3 .c files. Okay, so you're going to need all 3 of those. Now again, this code is probably more separated than it needs to be. I mean, this is a pretty simple project, right? You're just generating some PWM waveforms. There's not much to it, all right? However, in general, I tried to set it up the way sort of good coding practice is meant to set up. You try to compartmentalize the code as much as possible, okay? Now, that's primarily it, okay? This code composer and getting it to work the first time is a little bit tricky. If that process that I just took you through and then adding the proper files in the include and the source folder, if that doesn't work, all right, I will post the recording that I just made. All right, if that doesn't work when you go to compile, there may be one other step, all right, that may need to be done, and I may need to look at your particular machine when you do that, okay? Let me know, all right, and I can help you fix those issues. All right. Sometimes what we find out is that there's so many .h files brought in that sometimes things are redundantly there, and we have to not include those. All right. I can help you figure that out in a couple of minutes. But this should be more or less correct. Now, what I'm going to do is jump to my project that is supposedly working. So I clicked on this guy, made it active, and now what I want to do is I want to run that code. So what I'm going to do is I'm first going to click this little hammer here that says build, okay? And I get this little console that comes up. All right, it says the build finished. And let me, real quick, I'm going to clean the project. All right. Basically, I haven't made any changes to it, so I wanted to build it from scratch. Okay, so because this is what you'll see. Basically, it's going through the compiler. I'm getting all that stuff. All right, I did get a warning, but that's okay. I didn't get any errors that came with this guy. All right, so now I'm basically ready to run it. All right, so what I got to do is I got to make sure this guy's on. All right, I got the green light. Once that's on, I can go to this little bug up here, debug, and that should launch it. So I get a window like this, says he's basically ready to go. He's loading the program. All right, now this guy, the program has now been loaded onto the microcontroller. He's ready to go. When I'm ready, I click play. All right, at this point, the code is running on here. Okay, so at this particular point, what I should be getting is if I've got my code set up right, what are you guys looking for? You're looking for 30 kilohertz waveforms, right? Basically, one for the top switch, one for the bottom switch that should be coming out of GPIO 0 and GPIO 1. All right. So, and you'll see those. So if you look on the control card, you'll see that on the control card there's labels for which one is GPIO 0, which one is GPIO 1. All right. You also see on the control card that you have a 3.3 volt output and a ground output. And if you've read exercise 2, you'll see why you need that stuff. Okay. All right. It's a tedious process. I got you. If it does not compile, then there's probably something that needs to be left out. So just let me know that, and we can take a look at that. All right. Maybe one piece I should check. Let me see something here real quick. All right. Headers. Okay. like as an example, okay, I think if you follow what I said previously and you try to compile, I think you will come up with an error. All right. So jump to the end of the video to catch that if you're trying to remember. This guy brings in these two. This thing has some kind of an operating system on it. Okay, and it has some kind of a BIOS right on it. You need to make sure that only one of these two .cmd files is included. All right. So what you need to do is I go to this one that says bios.command, right click on that, and I would say exclude from build. All right, and he should get grayed out. That should be the only thing you need to do. All right, if you come across any other issues, there may be a couple of other files that need to be excluded. Let me know that if it won't compile. All right, if you've done your code right, and there's not a lot that you guys need to do in your code, then it should work. All right. So just let me know and keep me posted as to if you're having any issues with that. Okay.